What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be an overview of a new to me ZT-0230. This is an Anso design slip-it. I'm not a huge fan of slip-its. For me, they lack the accessibility and the fidget factor of, a locking mechanism. They're not as fun to play with, but they do have their purposes. And I think this one fills its purpose quite good. It's a small, lightweight, I'd argue everyday carry styled knife that can be put into a small everyday carry pocket pouch or something of the like. You could carry it loose in your pocket, hardly know it's there. You can put it into a little slip pouch if you'd like. However you choose to carry it, it has a lot of functionality despite the fact that it is a slip-it. So what is a slip-it? Well, for those of you that are unfamiliar with what a slip-it is, it doesn't have a locking mechanism. So for those of you in Europe, a lot of countries have prohibition on the ability to carry knives that do have locking mechanisms. So these are primarily marketed to markets like that have legal restrictions on locking mechanisms on their knives. Anso, I believe he's from Denmark. He's a European knife manufacturer. He comes out with quite a few of these, slip-it designs, as well as some awesome other designs that I've owned over the years. I'm a big fan of his, and this knife does not let me down at all with respect to the design. As you can see, it's very simple. And that is in part because of the nature of the knife itself, the fact that it doesn't have a locking mechanism. It doesn't have a lot of features, a lot of flair, a lot of things to go wrong. It doesn't have a lot of pieces. It essentially has two carbon fiber scales and then a beautiful 20 CV sheep's foot blade. I love that style of blade. And this thing is absolutely sharp from the factory. You've got the nail nick there, which is the opening mechanism that you'll see on most slip-it style knives. Let's get the box out of there. So you can see from the profile of the knife that it's incredibly small. Let's just show you for comparison's sake here. I believe this is a Spyderco Ambition or Persistence. I think Ambition, the smaller one. So it's about the same length, a little bit shorter, but you can just see how much thinner it is. The Spyderco is a fat knife, and that's probably more of what you're used to in that form factor. But the 0230 is very narrow and has the ability to pocket a little bit better. Or like I said earlier, you can slip it into little pockets in some EDC pouches a lot more easier than you can something the size of perhaps the Spyderco. Here's a full-size Benchmade Triage for comparison. Here's another ZT, soon to be reviewed. That's more of a full-size knife as well. This is the 0470. Forgot what the model was. But yeah, I mean that's a quick look at it. Let's talk briefly about the specifications. It is overall length about 6.25 inches. It is incredibly light, 1.8 ounces. And that is a characteristic of the fact that it's made of carbon fiber for the primary material here in the scale. Let's see if I can get you a little bit closer, and we can take a look inside of the carbon fiber. There you do have on both sides a little bit of stainless steel that is inserted into the milled out carbon fiber. I imagine that's both for the slip-it mechanism and for reinforcement and rigidity. You've got this awesome anodized blue aluminum backspacer that does have a nice little pass through here for a lanyard. You can see on the blade there the markings, 0230 Anso design, USA, CPM 20CV, and as well as the serial number of this knife. I really enjoy the example of carbon fiber that's used on this knife. I really hate shiny carbon fiber. This is not shiny. As I said, it does have a nice little texture to it. You know, like an incredibly fine G10, maybe even a little bit finer. It doesn't really have any grit to it, but it does have a little bit of texture to it, and it just looks good overall. It has kind of a dull finish. So one thing that's interesting with this knife right here is I did buy it secondhand, so I don't know how much of that is due to the fact that this had a prior owner. But the hardware on this side of the knife, as you can see, is completely blacked out. And then on this side, it's kind of got a stainless steel finish. I did look at some stock photos on the Blade HQ website, and theirs appear to be black on this side as well. There are some spots on their photos where it appears that some of the stainless is coming through, so I don't know if it's just a factory finishing issue where they don't do a thorough finish on this side of the hardware, or if the prior owner you know, rubbed this off, or if this will come off from pocket use or whatnot. But I just wanted to make you aware of that, because this may not be the typical finish that you'd expect on this knife. However, when I got it, prior to looking at the stock photos, I thought this was a factory finish here, and that this was intentional. So it may not be. It may just be this specific knife that shows like that. They do have another version of this knife. I believe it's the 0235, and that is a newer version of this knife. It's essentially the same thing. It's still a slip-it, same materials, same blade, same handle. However, they did a clip, you know, a more standard clip point blade, and they actually added a deep carry pocket clip for those that wanted the ability to clip this to, you know, a pants pocket rather than putting it inside of something or letting it ride loose. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave the link for both this version and the newer 0235 down below. Other than that, you know, there's really not much to talk about. On the top of the blade spine, you can see the zero tolerance mark. The spine of the blade is nice, and I don't think it's completely rounded over, but it's chamfered. Got a nice profile on the tip of the blade there. Very nice flat grind on both sides, coming down to an incredibly sharp blade edge. Yeah, there's not really much more to say about this knife other than, like I said, I really like it. I really enjoy it. This is going to fit well for me inside of my EDC pouch, which I'll show you guys in the coming days or weeks here. But right now, that's how I envision using this knife. If you have any questions or comments, or would like to add to the conversation below, drop a comment, like the video, and we'll see you next time.